episode.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to this week's of Soul Conversation. And today I have a guest from New York City, Dina Berrin. We had a conversation, I don't know, 2 months ago, I think it is, and we just really connected. And this is what I love as well, because on Tuesday, this podcast will turn and celebrate 3 years. So this episode is also for me, I don't know how to say it, but like a celebration that having this online space feels like I also sit with you, Dina. Like we are kind of in the same, we are in the same energy. We're in the same, almost like you were being here physically.
Yeah, isn't it?
So,
I love that. I love that
yeah,
feeling, how we can do that now, even though we are many time zones away from each other.
yeah, it is. So I would love for you, Dina, to just like explain a little bit about what you do, and then we go back in time about some stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Well, first of all, I wanted to say happy solar return to your podcast.
yeah,
3 is a tremendous milestone.
yeah.
And the first thing that came to me when you said the number 3, like I do numerology, and
Yeah.
3 in numerology is about joy, is about communication, is about creativity. So I love that you are turning 3. So
Oh,
with
thank
that,
you. Yeah.
let me introduce myself a little bit. So, thank you so much for having me. So, my name is Dina Berrin, and I am a tarot reader, a numerologist, a speaker, a certified coactive life coach, and I am an author. For over 20 years, I've guided people through transitions, leaving identities, jobs, relationships, or seeking a new path. So, my sensitive and intuitive clients want
Mm,
practical ways to reconnect with their wisdom, with themselves, and move forward with more clarity and more self-trust. So I'm looking to help people create more grounding routines, and support the person that they are looking to become.
mm,
So, and through using tarot, numerology, and astrology, they're not here to predict the future. I use them as tools
mm,
for patterns, detecting emotions, and reminding us to trust that we are exactly where we should be. So I feel that a lot of people already know deep down what they feel, but they
mm.
just don't trust themselves yet.
Yeah, true. And if we go back, let us go back a little bit in time, and then we go back to the tarot and everything, because we have
Sure.
something exciting
Yeah.
to share with the audience today as well, together. But who were you when you grew up? Who was Dina? And you can pick an age, but when you were a child, when you were a
So,
child.
okay, a couple of things came to mind when you asked that. Well, first of all, I have wonderful parents and I had wonderful grandparents, so I feel
Yeah.
very, very fortunate to have had that. And when I was about 7 or 8 years old, my grandmother, who
Mm,
was very interested in astrology, introduced it to me, and I learned about it through her, kind of how she would see people and be like, oh, that Pisces, they're so creative, or there's that Leo taking charge and kind of like hogging up the spotlight a little bit, or whatever. So they would talk, she would talk about people as if they were their astrological sign. And
yeah.
I was kind of walking around with like a little metaphorical clipboard, kind of taking notes, trying to remember all of these traits. Because when I was younger, I know it's hard to believe, but I was a little bit shy. And I wasn't like always in the mix. I was sometimes on the sidelines. And being
Mm,
on the sidelines has its benefits because I feel as though that gave me a chance to watch people, to
mm,
observe, and to see, how some people would maybe behave a certain way when you were one-on-one with them. But then when they were in a group, they would behave quite differently. Or I would just see how some people like what their integrity looked like, what their
mm,
honesty looked like, and when somebody was maybe asked, by the universe to have an opportunity to either be kind or to kind
mm,
of like put themselves in front and be a little bit selfish. It'd be very interesting to see how people made choices. And so what I began to do is I began to really be able to watch people and to really see who
mm.
they were. And so I felt as though a combination of my grandmother introducing me to astrology and also
Yeah,
the fact that I wasn't always in the mix was really a big, kind of like training ground, so to speak. This is kind of like the foundation. And I always had the support of my family. I always felt very loved. And at the same time, I felt like when I went out in the world, I needed to figure out who I
mm,
was. And these instincts, this was like my intuition talking. I didn't know that it was called intuition when I was
mm.
younger, but
Yeah,
this is what helped me in so many ways figure out what felt right. Who was I friends with? What were the things that I said yes to, kind of
yeah,
things, and just kind of like how that all turned out. So I mean, I still consider myself a student of life, but I felt as though my work as a student began very early, and that I'm not necessarily talking about like in the classroom when I was younger. I'm talking about my a student of life. Yeah.
yeah. Wow. I love that. And I love that the part with your grandmother and that she actually saw the signs and like the zodiac signs and not the person somehow. Like it's because it
And
is
she was
so,
always right. That's the thing. Like
yeah.
she would see people and she was, I mean, it's funny. My grandmother, excuse me, was about 4'8". She was
Yeah.
tiny. And she was like the matriarch of our family. She was a
Mm,
very strong, she was a Taurus. I'm a Taurus. Like she was a
mm,
very strong woman. And even though she was tiny, her opinion, her advice, everything that she said carried so much weight. We all listened to her and we loved her and so everything. We just were so in awe of her. So I feel
wow.
very, very fortunate that I had a role model of a
Yeah.
very strong woman. And even though she didn't look like that, what it would be on the outside, it's not how you look on the outside, it's how you feel on the
Yeah.
inside. And she was a powerhouse.
Wow. And when, can you also share a little bit when you actually left your corporate job and what you were doing back then and then what happened? Because the transition, I think many people can relate to what you just
Yeah. Yeah.
experienced. Yeah.
So, as I mentioned, I started with astrology when I was younger, and
Mm,
so I have a degree in exercise physiology, and I worked in the fitness arena for a long time. And actually, in fitness, people work out early morning, lunchtime, and in the evenings.
yeah.
So when I was working in fitness, it seemed like I was working early morning, lunchtime, and in the evenings. It seemed like I worked all the time, and I felt as though if I didn't find something outside of work, I was just going to get swallowed up by the
Mm,
whole schedule that I was beginning to keep. So one night when I was leaving work, I saw a flyer for a class on Intro to Tarot. So this began the beginning of my tarot education, my tarot journey. And
mm,
I started with one teacher, and then I moved to another set of teachers that taught every Monday night.
mm,
So I studied tarot first with my first teacher for about 2, 3 years, and then I moved to the every Monday night situation for about
mm,
8 years. So I studied tarot for a very long time. So what happened was the fitness industry did chew me up and spit me out a little bit. So I decided that I needed to make a change. So
mm,
in my 20s, I changed from working in fitness to working in sales. And I sold staffing services. I placed nursing and medical professionals in jobs. And sales is a grind as well. And I feel as though,
mm,
you're only as good as your last sale. And it was always
mm,
kind of like, a lot of calling, a lot of going out, a lot of, getting new clients, a lot of getting big orders. It was a big grind. And the one thing that kind of kept me balanced earlier on
mm,
was the fact that I had tarot. So it's like I
mm,
did have this sales job that was very big and very consuming, but I always had my tarot on the side. First, it was
mm,
just me going to class, and then I began to do readings. I began to do
mm.
events. I began to work with people. And this was always kind of like my side gig.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I realized that my readings were not just about just me giving information. People wanted to connect. They wanted to go deeper. They wanted more information than what I was just seeing in the cards. And
Mm,
this is when I decided, you know what? I think I need more than just my skills in tarot, in numerology, because the tarot cards have numbers and the tarot cards have astrological connections. So I feel as though even though my knowledge in astrology and numerology and tarot was very deep and expansive, I felt like I
mm,
needed more. So around 2018, I went back and I got a coaching certification in it was a coactive life coaching certification. And coactive is just you and me partnering. It's about
mm,
showing how we can work together. It's not
mm,
like I'm in charge and you're the student. It's kind of like we are arm in arm, hooked together
mm,
in support of your highest and best good and who you want to become. And I just loved how coactive coaching expanded how I thought. And
mm.
at that was like a very pivotal point. My readings got all of a sudden deeper and more expansive, and I was able to like connect with people in a way that I never really
Mm.
could just doing the tarot, astrology, and numerology. And
It's more so not, but kind of the first layer, maybe, with only, I say only now, but the tarot readings, or is
yes,
that?
that was the first layer, but I felt
Yeah.
like what I was doing is I was giving them information, but I
Mm,
wasn't really asking, how did that land? Or
yeah.
this situation that I just described, how is this serving you? Or what
Yeah.
is it costing you to stay in this situation? Like all of a sudden, it became like a dialogue, it became a
Yeah.
conversation instead of just being, here's what I see, here's what it means, here's when you could expect this. And I mean, I still can do all those things, but now I
Yeah.
have this whole other toolbox of
Yeah.
skills that went so much deeper. And then I studied palmistry. So I feel like I've done a lot of different things. But what was happening is, um, you know, working in sales and doing placement in medical and nursing. I mean, when you work with hospitals, when you work with medical facilities, these facilities, kind of like fitness, is
Mm,
open 24/7. Like a
yeah.
hospital doesn't close on Christmas. We don't just shut things down on New Year's Day. It's like if someone's having like their appendix is about to burst, whatever, it's like you can't be like, can you come back on Monday at 9 a.m.? It's like, no, this is an emergency. Like we need to take care of this now. So I
Yeah.
felt as though my client, like the sector of people that I worked with, and I always treat my clients like, like my children. I feel very protective and I want to give everything to them. And I felt as though they wanted me available to them all the
Mm.
time. And what happened was my job was spilling over into every area of my life. And really,
Wow.
like the only thing that kind of kept me sane was the fact that I would be doing parties and events sometimes for tarot, and I would still be seeing clients on the side. But what happened was, in around 2019, I had a very and I worked at my sales job for about 22 years. I mean, I was there. It wasn't a
Mm,
short amount of time that I was there. And the entire sales staff was like a family. It was like a team.
mm.
And we all had different clients, but we were all like in and there together. We were kind of like
Yeah.
on the field, getting dirty and, getting mud
Yeah.
kicked in our face and all this stuff. And one of my coworkers who I was very close to, he was like the kingpin. He was like
Yeah.
the rainmaker, and he was also very generous with his time and with his advice with me. And I felt very close to him. And right around 2019, and once again, he was like just about my age, not too much older than me, and he was healthy, he was strong, he was vibrant, he was dynamic and all this stuff. I mean, every adjective that you can throw at this, he was just really impressive. And he found out, unfortunately, that he had gotten sick. I had seen it, like he looked like he had lost a little bit of
Mm,
weight. And anyway, it turns out I don't know how it happened. he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer.
Oh.
And like all of a sudden, our little team, our little family, our little
Mm,
sales, dynamic, he had to take a leave of absence.
mm,
And then it looked like, we thought, oh, maybe he'll come back. But then as it got a little bit, time passed a little bit more, it looked like, you know what? He's getting sicker. He's not getting better. And
better.
I would say that we found out about him getting sick in August of
Mm.
2019. And by December of 2019, he was gone.
Oh, wow. That's quick.
It was very quick, but
Yeah.
what happened is like when I realized, wow, he is getting worse. It's not getting better. We started texting a lot
Yeah.
back and forth because, it's hard for him to talk,
Mm,
it was his esophagus. And I remember saying to him how impressive he was to me, how he was such a role model to me, how much I was grateful for all that he taught me. And we went back and forth and we talked about life. And he was saying to me, you know what, Dina, if you talked to me a year ago, I would have been all about the work and I would have been all about, working hard and, getting the big clients and bringing in big business. He says,
mm,
but now I see life differently. And he saw, like, so I have three children and my life was a little bit crazy. I was trying to juggle my three kids and my son was struggling a bit and I was doing my tarot on the side and I was trying to, to sell and bring in business. And it was just like,
mm.
I literally felt like I was on 24/7. I
And you
felt
have a
like
husband as well.
I have a
You have a
husband. I
husband.
have a
Yeah.
husband as well.
Yeah.
And my husband had been telling me for
Mm.
about 2 years, you need to leave. Like you need to
Yeah.
leave. Like this job is affecting our entire family. Like you're always like if something comes in emergency, it's like you run off and you start making phone, it's like it's just
Yeah.
really disruptive to our family dynamic. And I knew that, and it's kind of like
Mm.
my intuition knew that, but I
Yeah.
felt as though at the same time I felt this strong commitment to this sales family, to my
Mm.
boss who I loved, all this stuff. And interestingly, when my colleague got sick and we
Mm.
started, emailing, excuse me, texting back and forth, he said to me, he says, you know what, Dina, I would never have said this to you if we were still working together and like still hard charging like we have been for the past like 20 years. He said, but I'm going to say something to you from the wisdom that I have learned from, what's been going on with me. And he said to me, you need to leave.
Mm.
And he said, work is not the most important thing. He said, your family is important, finding balance is important. He said, you're running yourself ragged and you shouldn't be doing that. You have other important things you need to do.
Mm.
And I want you to know from someone who's on the outside looking in that you should do it now.
Wow.
And it hit me. It hit me
Mm.
so hard. And I remember I went home after that day that he sent me that text and I said to my husband, I think I need to leave.
Mm.
And he's like, okay, I've been telling you for 2 years that you need to leave. And now this guy
Yeah.
who, I mean, yeah, I knew him for a long time. He says you should leave. And then all of a sudden it's like the light bulb goes on. He said, I'm not going to say anything about you not listening to me. He said, but I'm just happy you came to this
Mm.
solution. And so I remember meeting with my boss and like and when my colleague passed, the entire dynamic of the office changed.
Mm.
And it was just, I realized I'm like, you know what? I can't be here. I
Mm.
shouldn't be here. And and then about a month later, COVID hit.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it was very like, it was just like one thing after the other. But sometimes the universe just shows you
Yep.
this is no longer where you should be. And like it worked for a while until it didn't.
Mm.
And I think there were a lot of signs along the way. There was a lot of writing on the wall, but I
Mm.
wasn't ready to see it or hear it until I was.
Mm.
And then at that point, I had already gotten my coaching certification. I had already had some coaching clients, and I was always doing parties and events and things like that. So it just seemed like a natural transition, except for the fact that all of a sudden I had three kids in Zoom school. at home. So,
Yeah.
it was stressful and crazy in a new way because we
Yeah.
kind of had to figure out how to completely change the life that we knew as it was and to figure it out because nobody knew what was
Mm.
happening when COVID hit. So it was an interesting journey, but I
Yeah.
feel as though something that I knew for a long time. Like I knew for a couple of years that I needed to leave, but like sometimes what has to happen is that like pivotal event. And
Yeah.
to me, I think it was both the loss of my colleague, the fact that my son was struggling, and also
Mm.
all of a sudden the fact that like COVID, it was just, I was like, oh my God, if the universe had anything else to say, I'm just like, I
Yeah.
hope we're going to still be standing here when it's all done. But it was just like the message came through. And that was the final, incident that was the straw, kind of thing. And then I began moving in this direction. And once again, it's like this was in 2019, 2020. So it's been 6 years and
Mm.
many regenerations and changes. And,
Mm.
it's kind of like the layers of an onion. It's like
Yeah.
you just keep on expanding and growing and learning how you
Yeah.
like to work, where your areas of specialty are, and new ways of doing it, new ways of
Mm.
connecting. So I feel as though it's been a really exciting and adventurous journey. Like I really have enjoyed this. And at the same
Mm.
time, I'm someone that likes to say yes to the things that scare me, to the things that excite me, to the things that make me stretch and grow. So I feel
Yeah.
as though it's been a really wonderful new change in my direction. But at the same time, it's not always a well-worn path. Sometimes I am creating the path in front of me, which can
Mm.
feel scary sometimes, but it's also very empowering.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing.
That's a story. So I'll let you
Yeah.
talk now.
No, I love it. I mean, it's I think what you said as well, and I think everyone who's listening can relate to it as well. Sometimes we just need the confirmation, even if we know, like you said, you know, like your soul knows, but and your heart knows, but we need someone who's like knocking on the door from the outside, and then suddenly it drops, and
Yes.
it's it just I think it needs to happen for
Yeah, and I feel like this
reason.
is all like these are all
It's a
the
big change.
lessons. It
It's
it
also a big change.
It
Yeah.
is a big change, but I feel
Yeah.
as though this is how we become that next version of ourselves. This
Yeah.
is how, and what happens is we sometimes choose a path that very much aligns with who we are at a
Yeah.
certain time of our lives. And then what happens is we outgrow that.
Yeah.
Kind of like we outgrow a shoe when our foot grows, or kind of like it's like all of a sudden something that fit and was so comfortable is now it feels tight or it feels like it doesn't work in the way that it used to. And
Mm.
it's up to us to listen to, whatever it is that's calling us where it doesn't feel comfortable and figure out, well, what would be a better fit? What might be something more aligned with where I
Yeah.
am now? Once again, it's scary because change can be very scary for people because it's forcing us to put ourselves into a position where we are unfamiliar and we are
Mm.
uncomfortable. And in general, the human nature is to go where it's comfortable.
Yeah.
But I feel like it doesn't always lead you to growth if you're willing to go the comfortable route. So sometimes you
Mm.
need
It
to get
doesn't.
uncomfortable. Yeah. What are your thoughts
Absolutely.
on that?
No, my thought is like to actually, for me, it's a process. It's been a process, but to fall in love with the discomfort as well.
I love that.
And that is a process because when you feel the resistance, but you know you want to like move forward, but it's kind of, one step forward and two back and then back. But every time that I have like, okay, I'm doing it anyhow, or I made a decision and I'm just going, the resistance immediately dissolves. It goes so
Interesting.
quickly. Yeah. So, of course, we are here to grow. I mean, I have the evidence, but it's just,
Did you
I think,
always feel like this welcoming of change, or was it something that you had to build up to?
oh, both, I would say. I always had big dreams, and I'm a Pisces, and I'm a
The
Scorpio
creator.
ascendant and Leo in my moon. So
Oh wow, I
it
hit them. I hit two of your
yeah.
three signs, not even knowing it.
So somehow I've been in the dream world, like the Pisces, all of that. But I'm also I take action immediately when it feels right. When it is a yes, I move forward very quickly. And sometimes maybe, you know, too quickly, but too quickly for me is if there is any, mistakes or reactions or whatever, I'm learning from it. Because if I'm not moving forward, then I don't like to get stuck. I think that's yeah. So to answer your question, if I'm thinking when I was a teenager, um, I was always wanted to get to know new people, new environments and stuff. So I think I always liked change. Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, it's
Yeah.
Pisces, and I think that Leo likes to be upfront, but
Yeah.
Scorpio can sometimes. Scorpio is very, close to the vest. They don't like to
Yeah.
share like all their feelings all the time. So I would almost say that because you're so out in the world with your Pisces and your Leo, I almost feel like if you are uncomfortable, you're good at hiding that. I don't think anybody would really even know
No, no, no.
it.
You're so right. Like, I think and I'm 51 today. I have maybe two people who actually really, really, where I can feel completely comfortable sharing whatever.
Well, that's very Scorpio.
And I did
Scorpio
not
has a
grow up with
very,
them.
you've
I
got a,
did not
you
grow
didn't
up
grow
with
up with them. That's interesting. But you have a very, like, Scorpio usually has a very small list of people
yeah.
that really know them because it's vulnerable. And
Yeah.
Scorpio doesn't like to feel vulnerable.
No.
So very interesting
It is interesting.
how we are our charts. We are our
Yeah, yeah,
astrological,
yeah.
points. That's so funny. Very interesting.
And this is something I would like to go into as well.
Yeah.
First, I love for you to share. What's
Well, what are
your
my big three?
exactly, exactly.
So, well, first of all, I am a Taurus sun.
Yeah.
However, I am what you call a cusp.
Oh,
So
what's that?
I sit on the Taurus Aries
Oh,
cusp. So
wow.
I was born like on the first day of Taurus,
Yeah.
and therefore, and it's funny, I do have a lot of Aries points in my chart.
Yeah.
So I do have both Aries and Taurus. I do identify with both, but I do feel very Taurian. So I'm a
Yeah.
Taurus sun with a Gemini moon. That's where we get my little
Mhm.
chattiness, my very social
Yeah.
butterfly-ishness, and I am a Cancer rising. And
Wow.
Cancer is very, very loving, very nurturing, very protective. And that I
Yeah.
think is how I am with a lot of my clients and those that I work with. I feel very protective over them. I really want them to feel held and very
Mm.
cared for. And that is a very big signature of my work. So I
Yeah.
feel like I am very much a mixture of my big three.
Yeah. I love that. And also that okay, so your rising is also water and my Scorpio as well. So
Yes,
that's
there
also
we go. We
very
connect
connected.
emotionally.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. So for someone who are new to tarot or and numerology,
Numerology, yeah.
thank you, and astrology for that matter, or you know, maybe they just know their
Right.
sign. How would you describe for someone who is really new to this? What's actually, let's start with, you can start with whatever, but
Let's start with tarot.
yeah.
So tarot is like I joke around that I speak two languages. I speak English and I speak tarot.
Oh,
So this is my second language. Let's talk
yeah,
about it.
yeah.
So tarot is an ancient tool for self-reflection and insight. So it's a deck of 78 cards, each with its own imagery, symbolism, and story. So for
Mm,
me, the tarot isn't so much about fortune telling or predicting the future, which is what people do
mm,
sometimes with it. I use the tarot as a mirror. And what it
mm.
does is it's reflecting what's happening within us, and it's inviting us to see our patterns, our possibilities, and blocks with
Yeah.
more clarity. So the cards work through a blend of archetypes, intuitions, and synchronicity. So each card holds a theme that speaks to the human experience. So that could be love, it could be loss, it could be growth, it could be challenge, it could be hope. But when you draw a card, you're not just pulling at random, you're entering a conversation with your subconscious. And the images and
Mm,
symbols stirs something in you,
yeah.
prompting you to notice some truths or something that you may have otherwise overlooked,
Mm,
and just to maybe give you like a little insight, a little message, or maybe you'll pick up on one of the colors or the details that's in the card.
mm,
But I use tarot as a tool for inquiry and self-trust. So when I pull a card, whether it's for me or for someone else, I start by asking it an open question, kind of
mm,
like, what do I need to know right now? And then
mm,
I look at the card and I notice what stands out, and I listen for what feels true.
mm,
Sometimes a card may point to a pattern that I'm repeating. Sometimes it encourages me. Sometimes it challenges me to get honest with myself. But
mm,
in sessions or workshops, I never tell people what's going to happen or what they should do, which sometimes
mm,
that's frustrating to them because people come to me for readings and they want to know, they want to be given specific answers. But I want to guide them to reflect. I
mm,
often see this as a conversation. Yes, I can give you timing. Yes, I can tell you what's going on. I can definitely give you insight, but I will not tell you what to do. You just met me. Or for a lot of people, I mean, even though I've met you several months ago, you just told me you're 51. You have known yourself, Jaya, for 51
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
You have known me for a couple of months.
Yeah.
So, who do you think would be better at
Mm,
giving you advice? Would it be the person that's known you for 51 years? Or would it be the
mm.
person that knows you for 2 months? So, I just always want to
Love.
know, I want to empower people to listen to their own wisdom.
Mm,
I don't want them to hand over their power to the
mm.
cards or to me. So, that's kind of a little bit, I don't know if that was helpful. That was a
Oh,
little.
it resonates with me so much.
Okay,
So,
so that's
so much. Yeah.
that's the tarot. And I
Yeah.
look at the tarot as the storybook of our lives. It is just, I tell you, I mean, I love my tarot deck. I have many tarot decks, but I do have a deck that I use often for readings. And I
Yeah.
feel as though it's a little sassy, it's got a little bit of attitude, and it always tells me what I need to know. So it's funny, like people are like, so how do we pick the card? I'm like, oh, the cards are going to come up. I'm like, the
Yeah.
deck is going to talk. Don't you
Yeah.
worry. And so I feel as though I trust it implicitly. People are always like, you don't believe in this, do you? I'm like, well, maybe.
Yeah.
So, but I also look for it for answers in numbers. So I don't just look at the the cards. So if you want, do you have any questions about the tarot? I can give a little bit of a description
No,
of what
because we're going
numerology
to
is.
do some a little session soon, so we
Yes.
can leave it. But I have one question about numerology. Oh my God,
Numerology. That's okay. I'll help
numerology.
you out with that.
Oh. But let's continue first. Continue first.
So, I mean, so all of the cards, so in my tarot deck, there
Mm,
are four suits and there are also an additional 22 cards. So, numbers, the cards are all numbered. So, like in a
mm,
regular card deck, you have an ace through a 10. I have the same thing in my tarot deck. And
yeah.
and then I have a page, a knight, a king, and a queen. But we all like just like a normal card deck has an ace through a 10 and then a court. Same thing in my tarot deck. And then my tarot deck has an additional 22 cards, which are numbered starting at 0. There is a 0 card, and it goes up to 21. So numbers mean a lot. So
Yeah.
when I read the tarot, I'm also using my knowledge of numerology because it gives me extra information. And what I'm looking for not only is information, but I'm looking for repeated information. I'm looking for patterns. I'm looking for things that show up again and again and again. It's kind of like with my coworker, he told me I
Mm.
should leave. My husband told me I should leave.
Mm.
All the signs in my life were telling me that I should
Yeah.
leave, but I was holding on. It's kind of
Yeah.
like sometimes you just have to take a message. And that's why it's great to have a reader because I can tell you, I'm seeing a pattern. Do you think this pattern is resonant to you? Why don't you tell me how, kind of thing. So
Mm.
let me tell you a little bit about numerology. And then if you want, we can pull a card and I can give a
Yeah.
little message and
Love
we
it.
can look at the number or like whatever comes
Yeah.
up.
Love
So
it.
numerology is the study of numbers
Mm.
and how those numbers and those patterns of those numbers shape our lives. So, people have been working with the wisdom of numbers for thousands of years. Ancient
Mm.
cultures, from the Greeks to the Chinese to the Hebrews, all recognize the significance of numbers. Even like the Greek philosopher, what's his name, Pythagoras,
Mm.
he often credited formalizing the system we use today, seeing numbers not just as quantities, but as archetypes that describe qualities and cycles in the world and
Mm.
in ourselves. So, where tarot is visual and
Mm.
story driven, numerology is rooted in the language of numbers. So, your birth date, the numbers in your name, and the cycles that you move through each year and throughout your life. It's less about imagery and more about patterns and timing. So, numbers reveal cycles, opportunities, and lessons. So, like for example, each year in numerology has an energetic theme. So based on your personal numbers. So, and each year even has a theme based on the world number. So, for example, we are in the year 2026. So if you add the numbers 2 and 0 and
Mm.
2 and 6 together, that equals
Mm.
the number 10. Now,
Mm.
in the tarot, there is a card that is the number 10. It's one of the 22 extra cards, and that's the
Mm.
Wheel of Fortune. So we are in
Oh.
a Wheel of Fortune year card. And um, numerology, we don't do the number 10. We use either the single digits or like the double one, the double two, the double three, which is also known as 11, 22, and 33. So the number 10 is not so significant to me. So what I do is I reduce it again. I take the one and the zero, I add it together, and I get the number one. So
Mm.
2026 is a world year
Mm.
one, which is a year of new beginnings. It's a year of
Mm.
fresh starts. It's a year of clean slates and starting again. It's full of opportunity and ideas and new beginnings. So it's one is a very exciting year.
Yeah.
So anyway, and that's the kind of energy. So when new things are popping up this year, everyone's like, "Oh, all this new stuff is coming in." I'm like, "Yeah, we're in a 1 year. That makes
Yeah.
sense," kind of thing.
Yeah.
So numerology helps you make sense of where you are. And they give a different, like, so numbers give a little bit of a different type of clarity than tarot does. Like tarot wants us to access our intuition in the moment, and numerology allows us to see the big picture in our lives. So together, I love mixing tools because
Yeah.
together they create a fuller picture and they help us really understand not just what's happening, but why, how, and sometimes even when. So
Oh, wow.
that's really valuable. So
It is.
anyway, I've got a lot to say about both, and I love both, and I use them. Like I don't
Mm.
just I can't even separate them in my mind now. It's like when I do a reading, it's like all like and I was saying I have a Gemini moon, and like my brain starts thinking like all of a sudden like when I start seeing cards, I think of the number, I think of the images, I think of the color. I start like all of a sudden things start popping up for me, and I'm just like, okay, let's go, and I just start
Yeah.
reading. And it's funny, sometimes people will say to me if we're in a reading. In the beginning of the reading, you said something. Can you repeat that? I was like, can you give me more information? Because sometimes I'm just like, whatever's popping up, I'm
Yeah.
just saying it. So I'm like, if you have a question, now is a good time to ask that question. Because if you ask me like in 30 minutes what I said in the very beginning,
Mm,
I'm like, you're gonna need to give me more information around that because sometimes it just flows through me and
mm.
I just say it. Sometimes I don't even hear it as much as I feel it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So anyway,
It,
that's how
but
I
it,
read.
it sounds like you're intuitively kind of a channeling the messages, the energies, that
Yeah.
like, yeah,
And
somehow
I feel
that's
that
how
from
I
it.
feel.
I feel it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So would you like to do a reading?
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, I just have one question
Oh, yeah,
though
yeah, yeah.
with the numerology. Num-
Numerology.
Numerology. Yeah. Um, is that I I think when I did something about it, like I was looking for my life path
Yeah,
number.
your life path
Is that
number. That's you
yeah.
you adding all the digits of your birthday month, your
Yeah.
birthday day, and your birthday year together. Yep.
I think I ended up with three. Number three.
Three. That's
Yeah.
funny. The same year of your podcast.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about it when you said it. I was like, oh, I need to ask Dina about this as well. So,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm adding, okay, because I maybe I did something wrong then because I think I calculated with my name or something.
There
I
is
don't.
another, yeah, there's your essence number, there's your personality number, like there's a lot
Mm,
of different numbers. And I look, usually the first thing I look at, like when I do a reading for somebody, if somebody were to book a
yeah.
reading with me, I look at what tarot cards are assigned to them at their birth because you get two cards assigned to you, once again,
Oh,
based on your number. And I look at their life path because I want to know what energy they are
yeah.
bringing. So somebody with a one energy is very like driven and very leadership oriented and let's get going. But somebody with a two energy is a little bit more harmonious, a little bit more like connected and being like, well, like what about the other people? They're not
Mm,
always just so me driven. Ones are very me driven. Threes are community oriented, very creative,
mm,
connected to joy,
mm,
and they like to be with community.
mm.
Four are very organized and structured. Think
Oh
about
my
like
God.
a
Sounds like my
box has
daughter.
four sides. It's like I
Yeah.
think of the four like a vision that I get when I think of a four is like an Excel spreadsheet. They like
Mm.
everything to have its place.
Yeah.
The five is about freedom and change and adventure. The six is more family oriented and about nurturing.
Oh,
The six is more like really taking care of others. The seven is more internal.
yeah.
Sevens need to have a lot of alone time. They like to
Mm,
process things. They like to have time to analyze it. They're very scientific. They're very analytical. Eights are go-getters. They're expansive. They're abundant. They're just,
mm,
really able to see things and really just make them happen. And nines are the humanitarians. They are
mm,
very thoughtful. They're more about the we. They're like, how can we make the world a better place? How can I help other people? Nines, they have to worry about burnout because they give and they give and they give. And unfortunately, the givers of the world are very often found by the takers of the world, and they
mm,
get taken advantage of sometimes if they are not more boundary centric. So
mm.
there's
Wow.
some information on all of the numbers.
I love that. Then I'm not sure. I
Well, and you know
never.
what? Sometimes, and I just gave you the very big Cliff Notes
Yeah,
version of that, but there's a lot more to each number.
of
But
course.
the bottom line is sometimes you are in alignment with your number, and sometimes you feel like a fish swimming against the current with your number.
Mm,
And I feel as though when you are in that fish swimming against the current energy,
mm.
I feel like that is your life path teaching you a lesson,
Yeah.
one of the lessons that you need to learn in order to be a more aligned and connected version of you. So if you are feeling like you are swimming upstream and really having to push so hard to be authentic to who you are, then there's something here for you. Pay
Mm,
attention and lean
mm.
in. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's for sure what's been going on the last couple of years. For sure. For sure. because now I feel everything start to, feels more with ease, even if, you know,
Yeah,
changing.
and we
Yeah.
go through that. We go through life is very stop and go. It's not like, life is like this. It's very
Yeah,
hilly. It's not like
it is.
if we want a flat line, I mean, I guess that's, that means that you're not going to have any highs or lows, but it also means that you're not going to have any, learning or changing. So I feel as though life is always about ups and downs. And
It
when we're
is.
in a down, we can be happy that we can look forward to an up. And if we're at an up, we also need to have a little bit of gratitude for being there because
Yeah,
we will be humbled again soon.
absolutely. Oh my God. Okay, yes. Let's you
So shall
have
we pull a card?
yes, I love it.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to
Mhm.
ask you, I'm mixing the cards, so I'm not sure if anyone's going to see the video of this or if it's all going to be on audio,
No,
but
it will be video as well, if you
cool.
should. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. So, but for those that are just listening, I am shuffling my tarot deck of 78 cards, and I am going to now ask Jaya to tell me when she feels ready to tell me when to stop shuffling the cards.
Mm. Um, you can stop now.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you for a number, the first number that comes to you between 1 and 10.
4.
Four. Okay, so I'm going to count down to the fourth card. One, two, three, and this is the number four. We got the King of Swords. But before we
Okay.
talk about the King of Swords, I want to talk to you about the number four.
Mm.
And I gave you a little bit of an insight to what the number four is, but the four likes a plan. The four likes to know what's on the schedule. And so does that resonate with you, or are you the opposite of that?
I'm I would say I've always been like that, but then I kind of rebelled, and now I'm, coming back to that much more because I feel much more in harmony when I have a plan. It doesn't need to be long or something. It needs to be clear. I love clarity. I love
Yes,
clarity.
yes, I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Another thing
Mm.
that I like to share about the four is the four likes to have one main focus. So,
Mm.
and then what happens is once they have that main focus, and that could be your job, that could be a hobby, like maybe you like to garden, maybe you like to paint, whatever it is. And then what you do is you are able to structure your life around this thing that is kind of like what we call like your center.
Mm.
And with a four, that's how you operate best. If you do
Mm.
not have a center, if you do not have something that is your focal point, it is very hard to plan your life around it,
Mm.
and you may feel a little bit lost. So
Mm.
in a four, and for the fours out there,
Mm.
what is that focus? And if you are not focused on anything, maybe you can, and you're feeling a little bit off balance, this may be one of the reasons why. So, and fours are very, I would say the sight, the sense of sight is what I connect also to the number four. You are a very good visual person.
Yeah.
And like, so if somebody were to say to you, you know what, Jaya, I want to move this couch here and I want to paint this wall red and I want to do the, and you're like, hold on, hold on. You
Mm.
can't just throw these things at me. Can you show me a picture? So you
Mm.
are someone that likes to see a visual. And once it becomes visual, then it becomes real to you. So that's the number four for you.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to talk about the card that we pulled, which is the King of Swords. Now, the King of Swords, kings in general are very external. They are very
Mm.
much out in the world. And the King of Swords, so each of my suits, the swords, the wands, the cups, and the pentacles, talks about a different energy and also
Mm.
a different element. So the element of swords is the element of air. And the
Uh-huh.
energy that we work with the suit of swords is the mind. It's how we think. And think about how fast air moves, the wind
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I would say that um, you are doing a lot of thinking and a lot of things are coming through your mind right now. And at the same time, you are in king energy, and the king energy is about like you are thinking about what you can give to the world, what you can
Yeah.
provide for them, what new thinking, what new ideas, what new strategies and approaches you can share. And another thing with the King of Swords is you see he's got that red cowl around his
Yeah.
neck.
Yeah.
To me, that's passion. So you are very passionate, and it's around his throat chakra. So you're very
Yeah.
passionate
Oh
about what
my
you talk
God.
about and what you say. And the king is at a place of mastery. He has, he started out young, then he was a knight and he fought in the war, and then, he had to climb up the ladder. But to be the king, he now has a lot of knowledge. And this is you. So as I mentioned, the tarot cards are mirrors. So when I
Yeah.
talk about this king, I'm
Spot
talking
on.
about you.
It's
So
so spot on. Oh my God.
you are someone that has a lot of knowledge
Yeah.
and has a lot of ideas and a lot of new strategies. I mean, look at what you're doing with this podcast. You have a lot of
Yeah.
ways that you want to work with people. However, not everybody is at your level of mastery.
Mm,
You understand things in a way that is maybe, you've been studying it for a long time. It's much higher up, much more elevated, much more complicated than maybe somebody who just found your podcast in the past couple of months and they're listening and learning from you. So the King of Swords, and I like how he carries that sword because what I do is I say, kind of like how we use a knife, what he does is he cuts like say it's like, that saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite
yeah.
at a time. What you're doing is you're taking a very large concept, but you're cutting it up into very bite-sized pieces. So what you are doing is you are out in the world, you are a teacher, you are a very curious and sharp mind, but you are not expecting everyone to be at your level. What you are
Mm,
doing is you are taking them into a like an education type setting where you can teach them, and also let's bring the four back in a very structured and planned way. So you
yeah.
can't be all over the place when you're teaching people because it confuses them. And so
Mm,
what you're doing is you're moving forward in a very structured and planned way, but you, my friend, are the leader.
yeah.
So
Oh my
that
God.
is your reading. So we use the number
Yeah.
and we use the card and we use some of the imagery and we got you a message. Is there anything that you see or you would like to add now that you
I mean,
have?
it was like spot on with everything about me, not just right now, but like with my sign, I'm into human design. It was like in there as well. Like everything you share was
You're
spot on.
making me feel good. I think I
Yeah.
know how to read these cards.
Yep. And the number four, also very interesting because I don't know if you noticed that I was hesitant when you said you want order structure. And I was like, but then when I think about how I guide others, it's always the simplicity. And it is in a structured way. I always do like this as well.
Yeah, because it
But
makes sense. It makes sense to
yeah,
you. And I feel as though if it doesn't make sense to you, then you can't use it in the world.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I connect like mm, so much what's going on in the external world, like really big things and dark things. And yeah, right now, and I've been doing that today a lot. I can take in a lot of information, a lot of, not that I bring in the darkness, but I can observe it. Like, and then I start to connect the dots, and it goes so quickly. So it's like you say, yeah, yeah, yeah. This was fascinating. Oh my God.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being open to having a reading right here live and unplanned.
Yes.
We just this was completely like random. We just pulled it and did all that right
Yeah.
now. We didn't do any of the planning ahead.
I love it. So you also, and I want to ask you because you also mention how you work with people, that you work at parties, and can you just share a little bit how you work with
Yeah.
people and
I work one-on-one with people, so people can,
Yep.
I mean, and once again, Zoom has been phenomenal because I work with people all over the world, and
Yeah.
I do readings online, and usually, for like the 1 hour readings, I will get into your birth cards, I will get into your life path number, and I will give you a foundation before
Mm,
we just jump in and start doing a reading. I
mm,
do work, I'm a life coach. I do work, I also offer like a 1 year program, which is where we deep dive
mm,
into, it's called my alignment program. And in my alignment program, it's like we do astrology, we do numerology, we do palm reading, we dig deep into every little area of work that I do, plus some of my coaching to get you in alignment with who and where you are. So if anyone is looking for something more long term, not just like a one-off kind of thing, I do that. But I do also like I live here in New York City and I do a lot of parties and events.
yeah.
I love working with all kinds of people. Like learning about people is like my favorite thing to do. I love hearing their stories. I love just learning what makes them tick. I'm like big,
Yeah.
like I want to know what's happening under the hood of the car. And I feel as
Mm,
though the conversations that get started from what I see in the cards are always interesting and fascinating to me. And I feel honestly so privileged to be able to do this work because people trust me and sometimes things that come up are, things that
mm,
no one has ever told anybody before. Like I've had a bunch of people say to me, I've never told anybody this before. And I'm like, all right, well, I am a safe space because I am very much a believer in being confidential and
mm,
creating a space where you don't feel like I'm going to be repeating anything. And that's definitely not what I do. So yeah, but I love working with people and I've been speaking a little bit lately and I wrote a
mm.
book and I've been going to retreats. Like I've been doing a lot of different things. So if
Yeah.
you want to work with me, I would love to hear from you because I am very open to new ideas and bringing my own ideas to it as
I
well.
love that. And where can people buy your book if they
It's
want to?
on Amazon. I actually
Mm,
self-published it a year ago. And
mm,
my book actually is a little bit of my story
yeah.
and it introduces you, like you can be a complete beginner. It's got three modalities. It's tarot, it's numerology, and it's my charms. And what I do is I teach a little bit in each chapter, and then I give you some journal prompts, some
Yeah.
questions, so you can kind of dig a little deeper and find
Yeah.
out your answers before you move on. It's not a super, it's not like a tome of a book. It's very manageable, and it feels like I really tried to write it so it feels like I'm sitting there with you, talking with you.
Wow. I
And it's
love
on
that.
Amazon, so you can look at my name, Dina Berrin. The book is called The Way Within: Igniting Your Intuition with Sacred Tools.
Mm. I will have the link as well. I will
Thank you.
definitely.
Yes, thank you.
And for your website, so if someone wants to reach out to you, is it through the website is the best way or
Yeah,
what
I
would
mean, you
you
can reach out to me
say?
on my website, which is my name,
Mm,
dinabarron.com. But I'm on Instagram as Dina Berrin. I have a YouTube channel. I mean, and I've always like when people comment on my videos, I feel like I really like to engage with people. So if you want to
yeah.
reach out, I promise I will write you back. But yes, you can go on my website and there's like a contact me and you can fill out like a little note or whatever you want to send me.
I love it. And I
Yes.
will also publish this episode on YouTube. So I will ask you to collaborate with me. So
Yeah,
then it will pop up on your side as well.
that'd be
So
great. That's
yeah,
wonderful. Thank
that's
you. Thank you. Thank
so
you.
Dana, is there anything else you would like to, share before we end this conversation for today?
Well, I mean, what I just want everyone to know is that all these tools are a way for you to get back to yourself.
Mm,
And I feel as though your relationship with yourself is the original relationship. And your language of intuition is the original language.
mm,
So all the tools that you need are all right here. So I know that a lot of times we are like looking outside where we can find, what we're looking for.
mm.
But I want you all to know that self-trust and knowing that you have everything is where you can start.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing and like I'm still amazed about the reading. I mean,
Was my
and it
pleasure to
was
do
just the nuggets. I
so.
assume. But it was like, yeah, spot on. Spot on.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm also thinking if someone, yeah, if someone has questions and ask them, and we can also get back together and have a Q&A or something. I would
Yeah,
love
I'd love
that.
that. I
Yeah.
would love that. Yeah, and they can also, we'll stay in touch and we can
Yeah.
decide what the next thing would be. So
Yeah.
this was my pleasure.
And for everyone listening, I would love for you to subscribe and leave a review. And also, I have my Soul Conversation membership that I've been launching. So that's also you will get some extra of from the guest as well. So yeah, I would just love for you to share this episode. Share it, share it, share it. And thank you so much, Dina. Thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Oh.